So today's video is on training volume. So training volume is determined by the amount of sets that you're lifting times by the amount of reps that you're lifting times by the amount of total weight that you're lifting. So for example, if you were doing a set of squats at 3 sets of 10 reps at 50 kilos, your total training volume for that particular exercise would be 1500 kilos. So as I discussed in an earlier video and an earlier blog post, we want to, over the course of say a 12-week training block, you want to gradually be increasing the amount of training volume that you're doing in order to increase muscle and strength gains. Okay, so back around 10 years or so now, I learned a particular method of training called progressive overload. So basically what progressive or linear progressive overload meant was you were following a linear format where you were increasing the amount of weight that you were lifting over a 12-week period, but over that time you're also dropping the amount of reps that you're doing. So in our case, we would start off at 10 reps of squats at 50 kilos for 3 sets, and over the 12-week period we would gradually increase that to say, for example, by the end of the 12-week period you might be lifting, say, 70 or 80 kilos, but only for say around 4 to 6 reps. So following this method, your strength gains would increase quite significantly over a period of 12 weeks. But as I discussed, the amount of reps that you're lifting would decrease over that period of time in a linear fashion. You would also only do or train each muscle group only once per week, because around at this time, the thought process was that if you train each muscle group more than once per week, you would induce overtraining and then lose your strength and muscle. So your average linear progressive overload training program might look like this, for example. So we might be starting off week 1 doing 3 by 10 by 50 kilos, which as I said is 1500 kilos. Week 5 we might be working on 3 by 8 by 60 kilos, which is 1440 kilos total. Week 9 we might be working off 3 by 6 by 70 kilos, which is 1260 kilos. And then by week 12 we're lifting 3 sets of 6 reps at 80 kilos, which is 1440 kilos. So the problem there is when we're trying to increase total training volume, following this linear progressive overload method, we're actually decreasing the total amount of volume that we're lifting. So we started off doing week 1 1500 kilos. By week 5 we're down to 1440. Week 9 we're down to 1260. And then by week 12, we've only got back up to 1440 kilos. So we haven't really increased our total volume over that period of time. Okay, so by making a few small adjustments to the amount of sets, reps, and weight that we're lifting over a 12-week period, we can dramatically increase the amount of weight or training volume that we're lifting. So for example, we start off week 1, 3 by 10 by 50, so that's 1500 kilos. Week 5, we increased to 4 sets by 8 reps at 60 kilos, which equals 1920 kilos total volume. Week 9, we're doing 5 by 6 by 70 kilos. We're then up to 2100 kilos. And then by week 12, we're up to 6 by 6 by 80 kilos. So that brings us up to 2880 kilos of total training volume. So that's a fairly dramatic increase. We nearly doubled the total amount of training volume that we're doing in the 12 weeks, as opposed to the previous method, where we're only really just stagnating or doing less volume over the 12 weeks. Now, for what I just read out, you don't need to do all of that training volume in the one session. So for example, by week 12, we're doing six sets of 6 reps at 80 kilos. So this could be, for example, squats or deadlifts. Now, what you could do is you could easily break that down into 2 sessions of 3 by 6 by 80 kilos. So you're still getting the total volume or the same volume that you want to aim for, but you're spreading it out over over 2 sessions. And you could also change the reps that you're doing. So for example, you don't need to do 6 by 6 by 80 or 3 by 6 by 80 each session. You could break it up into a combination of higher and lower reps to get the same volume. Okay, so using this method, you're not going to be able to keep increasing the weight that you're lifting to infinity. So what I do, and I mentioned this in an earlier video, is we incorporate deload weeks. So we just drop the weight off that we're lifting, or the total volume that we're lifting by about 30%, before we then start to ramp up the amount of volume that we're lifting again. So in this method, we're following more of a staggered linear progression rather than a straight linear progression. So what you also want to do is incorporate the use of different rep ranges. So for example, I might have earlier in the week, we may be doing low reps, higher weight. So we may be doing, say, 4 to 6 reps early in the week, and then later in the week, we're doing more of a higher volume, or higher rep ranges, so maybe 10 to 12 reps. So that way you can keep sort of gradually creeping the reps up and creeping the training volume up, and you're not stuck in the same rep range. So you're working both strength and hypertrophy rep ranges in the 1 week on the same exercise. Okay, so when you're working at your training program, what you first want to do is work out how many times a week you're able to, or you're willing to train per week. So ideally, you're going to train each muscle group twice per week, and you'll want to work your different rep ranges. So you want to work both high and low rep ranges. So for example, if you're training twice per week, you could simply do 2 full body workouts per week, but then 1 session you're doing lower reps, 1 session you're doing higher reps. If you're doing 3 sessions per week, again, you could split that up into upper body day, lower body day, and a full body day. Twice per week is still being worked. You just use different rep ranges for each day. 4 times per week, you could be doing 2 upper body and 2 leg days with multiple rep ranges or different rep ranges each day. And then if you're doing a more advanced session, so you're doing more advanced program, 5 days per week, you could be doing, say 3 full body workouts per week plus an arms day and a shoulder day. You could be doing 2 upper body, 2 lower body, and an accessory day like an arms and shoulders day. And again, you're incorporating different rep ranges. So you could also do different rep ranges in each session as well, if you like. That's been proven to work pretty well. So as I said, you can incorporate different rep ranges into each training session. So this can be often referred to as daily undulating programming, or DUP. So what you can do, you could have per session. So session 1 for the week, you could be working off low reps, say 2 to 4 reps. The second session for the week, you could be working off slightly higher rep ranges, so 5 to 6 to 8 reps per exercise in session 2, and then session 3 for the week, you could be working off again higher reps, so 8 to 12 reps. So you're working sort of the power, strength, hypertrophy rep ranges, but you're doing a different rep range for each session. Alternatively, you can do different rep ranges for each during each exercise or during each session. So you might be doing bench press, for example. You might start off doing, say 2 to 4 reps for set 1. You then might go to 4 to 6 reps for set 2, and then 6 to 8 reps for your third set for each exercise. So that's also another option. So there's all it means is that you're just providing a different stimulus to your muscles in each of your exercises. So I'll go into more detail in working out your training program and incorporating different rep ranges in the email or in the blog post below. But basically what I do for my online clients and also my one-to-one clients is work out a 12-week program. I usually work off 12-week blocks. Then what I do is I break those 12-week blocks up into 3 lots of 4 weeks. And then we work off different rep ranges and different goals for each of those smaller training blocks. And then we usually incorporate 1 or 2 deload periods within the 12 weeks. So like I said before, you can't just keep going heavy for your entire 12-week block or forever. Eventually you're going to burn out, you're going to overtrain, you're going to get injured, or you're just going to plateau. So it's good to incorporate a deload period where you can sort of recover and then look to increase your training volume. So I've included a link below for my one-on-one personalized online program. So just briefly, what we do is we look at your overall training goal first, whether it's muscle gain or fat loss. We work out a 12-week resistance training program based on your training history. So it's all personalized based on what you want to achieve and what training you've done in the past. You can log on to our online platform and record your sets, reps, and weight, and you can see how your training progresses over the 12-week period. We include deloads in that period as well, and we also include a change of program every 4 to 6 weeks. I look at your nutrition as well. So, looking at the, roughly the right amount of calories you should be consuming per day and per week. Also the breakdown of protein, carbs, and fat you should be having per day. And then also look at other things like sleep, stress management, and also gut function as well, which can also help if you're looking to improve your body composition. So feel free to check that out. You can email me if you like, info@nickallbodytransformations.com if you want any other details, but there's a full rundown on the link below that covers everything that the program includes. Okay, so that basically covers our video today on training volumes. So the next video will be covering off cardio and where that fits into your training program. Thanks.